Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Every leader has a journey. And with the Leaders Speak, we are trying to get to know their journey, what are the hurdles they have faced, and how they're trying to overcome them. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Interesting journey. I originally, my background was as a management consultant. I was a project manager, and we used to look at organization culture. So my specialism used to be diagnosing organization culture. And when I left that to get into technology, I never thought I would ever use it again. So when I got into technology, I was in development, and I was in development for a while, where I made a few interesting decisions which determined my path into cybersecurity, because I made some decisions which by chance were good decisions, and that paved the path into my coming into cybersecurity. And within cybersecurity, over a period of years, I began to realize again more and more how important the culture and diagnosing culture is very important, because that helps you work where you need to work hardest, perhaps as a security professional, in terms of raising awareness within an organization. So that was my journey into cybersecurity in some respects. And in terms of the daily sort of routines and things as a CISO, the great thing is, like many jobs, there's never a single routine. It varies throughout the year. It varies month by month, week by week, day by day. And really, it opens up lots and lots of different opportunities in ways that I think other professions don't, because cybersecurity impacts most parts of an organization, either intentionally or unintentionally. Unintentionally, it can be whereby, as I've seen so many professionals do, and I've been one of those in the past, where we go round to somewhere and say, look, we understand you're using technology that hasn't been authorized by the IT department or by the security people. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to stop you. You're using this. So that's unintentionally. Intentionally is where you go and see people and you ask them what technologies they'd like to be using that somebody like me has previously told them that they can't use. So there are, many ways that we interact with other people within an organization. And in terms of the day, what I tend to think of in my role in cybersecurity is that it should be governed by what we as security people often say. It should be run by the business, because the business should be deciding exactly where the priorities are and how we can make their life easier. And because no day is the same between one day and the next, the business and various parts of the business involve us going to work with them. So it could be speaking to finance people, it could be risk people, it could be marketing people, it could be development people. And really, it should be about what we can do to help them as the business achieve what the business is trying to do. No one, whether you are an entrepreneur starting out as a one-person organization or a big company that's being developed, no business gets set up to do security work. Security is one of those things that they have to do, that whether they like it or not. And what we need to do as our role, and the way I see my role, is how can we make work easy for them? And if I can do that, then I've achieved what I need to do in my aims as a CISO in that single day.
You rightly said that you need to think strategically so that they can trust you. Trust is very, very important. Now, when they trust you and you are allowed a free hand to make one change in the organization, what would it be to make the life for all in the organization better?
This thing is, it depends on which stage the CISO is in terms of their career and the relationship with the board and what's happened within the organization, because these things you can't look at in isolated ways. So if the CISO is coming for the first time to that particular board, what the CISO needs to understand is a whole range of things before they can ask the board anything. If the board is very mature, you won't need to argue, It's if they don't understand that you're going to have those discussions. And if they don't understand, the way to explain, and I heard this really good analogy, and I can't remember where it was or who it was from, but it was about climbing the Mount Everest. And climbing Mount Everest, what you need to get to base camp. Base camp is not
Right.
easy to get to. Once you're at base camp, that's when the journey actually starts. And most CISOs in organizations don't always understand that they may not have got to base camp yet. They think that they're on that climb, and they haven't realized that they need to get to base camp first before they start planning what else they need to do. Equally, the board need to understand where they are. If the board understand that they've got beyond base camp, that makes it slightly easier if they have, and the budgets you're going to need. Hinted at my thinking already in a variety of different ways, and now I'm going to use a slightly different analogy. I'm a great lover of Formula One, and whether if you like sport, whether it's Formula One, it's football, it's kabaddi, it's baseball, rugby, cricket, anything at all. No two games are the same, about 30, 60, 90 days and different businesses. What I would say that CISOs need to do is they need to understand where they are and where that place is right now. And a lot of Formula One drivers, when they are preparing for the race, they'll get there early, a few days before, a few weeks before, and they'll drive around the track. They'll get to understand the track. And equally, as CISOs, we need to understand our organization. We need to understand where they are. We need to understand the culture. We need to understand the people and the business and where the money's being made in all the different departments. What makes them different, successful? When you start understanding those things, you can then better understand your role within making sure that you're doing what you need to do for the business needs to do. And I think that's very important. The same way that I was saying that Formula One drivers do all that, but equally the whole team makes a difference, because if you listen again to people like Hamilton, who's won so many Formula One races, whenever he's interviewed, he always praises the team, because he's only one part of it. The car is another part of it. The team that put the car together is another part of it. He cannot take, and he knows he cannot take complete credit on his own, because if he does that, it's like him trying to run around the track, and he's never going to do that. It's the car and the team behind it. Equally, the CISO and the team behind them. There's no one single person that takes priority. So understanding how all of that works, and in terms of trying to do pit stops quickly in Formula One, and in terms of CISOs, when there's a problem and you need to respond and you need to do instant response, again, your team needs to understand how quickly they're going to work together and all of that. So understanding the organization in the first 30 days is absolutely vital. Then what you start doing in the next 60, 90 days, you slowly begin to understand where you need to give most attention to enable that part of the business, because you know that they need more help from you, because the risks that they're trying to handle are different, and the technology that they want to bring in requires more of your attention for some reason. But equally, another part of the organization, the awareness that they need may be slightly different, and you need to provide different training to them. So really it's understanding all the different parts, seeing how they can work, and then working that out from that 30, 60, 90 day plan. And you begin to work from there, and people will come to you and they'll tell you what they want.
You rightly said that you need to think strategically so that they can trust you. Trust is very, very important. Now, when they trust you and you are allowed a free hand to make one change in the organization, what would it be to make the life for all in the organization better?
So simple for them from the security perspective, because the way that the world that we live in at the moment, and I am one of those people who comments about how much we as security people haven't achieved after 20 years. I've been in the industry 20 plus years, and still to this day, we still haven't resolved passwords and password issues. And really, if we look at that, you know, we're in a position where the industry has failed in not coming to make it easier for the business to do something as simple as authentication. And really, so if I could change one thing, it would be to make life simpler for everyone so that they can get on and do the work that they're trying to do without having to worry about security. They can use any technology they like without security people coming along and saying that you can't use this, you can't use that. And I'm guilty. I know in my past where in the early days, I used to be like many other professionals, used to stop people using Dropbox and cloud things, stop them using BYOD and mobile devices, and stop them using social media. Now, all of these three things, if the business was allowed to use them 6 months earlier, they would have had 6 months of more benefits to the business without people like me ruining their life and telling them that they can't do it. So if I can change one thing, it would be on looking at how can we make life easier for the end user so they can think less about security and more about growing the business to do what the business is there to do. That would be that one thing.
It was wonderful speaking with you, and it's always a pleasure seeing you and speak to you.
Me on, it's appreciated, and I know you're busy too in your part of the world. So I look forward to talking to you again sometime. Thank you.